Welcome to Chris Betts Versus, aka the best part of my week. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, but whatever it is, we're so glad to have you. I see Baldy's already commenting on the Twitch stream. Always good to see you, bud. Thank you for doing this. If you haven't seen the show before, this is an online version of a live show that I used to do back when that was allowed, called Chris Betts Versus the Audience, where I will argue the opposite of anything that anyone says. I've argued a bunch of great and awful things. Every single show is different because I never know what my opponent's going to say, which is fun. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's oddly beautiful, which is always nice. Today, because of the location of the judge and contestant in today's show, we're started a couple hours late. Thanks for waiting on us, but they are literally on the other side of the world. I'm very happy to have them here. They're both ex-judges, so they've done the show before. They are stepping into, I mean, it feels like you're alone, but also I'm getting used to Zoom shows now, so it feels like I'm also with them. I don't know if I've just been so alone now that a screen is enough of a connection with a person for me, but whatever it is, I'm so happy to have them here. So today, my contestant is going to be Alice Fraser. She's absolutely fantastic. She's an Australian comedian. She does a podcast called Tea with Alice. She's on The Bugle. She's on the last post of The Bugle. I tried to list her credits in the post before the show, and there was just too many, so I didn't bother and put a link to her website instead. Please welcome to the screen in your houses where I can either see you or hear you, but assume you're cheering and clapping, Alice Fraser. Hey,
hello.
Welcome to the show. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm all right.
I'm very well.
Good. I'm glad. You judged this on the bus in Edinburgh last year, I think.
I
2 years
did,
ago
and
now,
it was so much fun.
It was
such a nice gig. I remember it fondly.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm excited to have you on, and I'm very intimidated because you're an ex-lawyer, and so I assume that I'm going to lose, but that's okay. Were you a trial lawyer?
On the other hand, I was not a trial lawyer, and also I am an ex-lawyer, so you don't know how bad a lawyer I was. So I argue that you shouldn't feel threatened by my skills.
I've known you for a few years now, and so the idea that you were disbarred would really surprise me. I don't think that there was a...
No, I was just miserable in a corporate law firm. Nothing so glamorous or extravagant.
Oh, fair enough.
Just feeling like a butterfly in a cage.
Yeah, I get that. Corporate law, from all of the procedurals that I've watched, looks like a real nightmare of an industry.
I just spent my whole time thinking, I've only got 19 days to live.
Oh, wow. Is that a butterfly's lifespan?
Some butterflies.
Cool.
Laura's the expert on that.
Oh, all right. I mean, that's as great a segue for a judge as I'm ever going to get. Let's we're going to bring on the judge. She's also Australian, coming from us from New Zealand because she realized it's a superior country. Amazing comic. She just released a comedy album as well, which we're going to plug. So please welcome to the screen with your screaming and your clapping, Laura Davis. Yay! Hey, Laura, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Good to
well,
see you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Pressing question. What is the lifespan of a butterfly, please?
Oh, it really does depend. Anywhere from, mere hours to several weeks.
Oh my God. And are you an ex-botanist? Is that how?
No, I wish. I remember
those are plants. Those are plants. I just realized those are plants. I'm an idiot. Where does your...
or is botany just... Yeah, maybe a naturalist. But that sounds like a nudist.
Yeah, that is
that's a naturalist. A naturalist, you want to be like, Darwin with a little bag of sample bottles and things.
I'm a bloody weirdo is what I am. It's the official title.
I always like that about comics, is we always know a lot about like one specific weird thing. And mine is eels. I know a ton about eels.
Tell me about eels. Why have you been hiding these eel facts?
Eels, the snake of the lake.
Eel podcast,
go. No one knows where they breed. They've tried to track them.
Snaky eels.
They put like electronic trackers with GPS trackers on them, and they swim out somewhere into the Saragossa Sea, and then they lose them, and they're gone, and then they come right back, and no one's quite sure what happens. It's very confusing. They're genuinely fascinating.
Sneaky little fuck eels.
I was in a bookstore like 3 years ago, and I just wanted to read about something that I'd never thought I'd be interested in, and I saw a book that was just called Eels, and I went, nailed it. That's what it calls for. So as a result, I know a ton about eels. Anyways, let's get to the show. So if anyone hasn't seen the show before, it's important that I point out that just because I say a thing on the show doesn't mean that I mean that thing. I've said a bunch of terrible things on here. None of them were my personal opinion. I'm just a competitive person. So when I tell you that Anne Frank was a coward, I just want you to know that that's not how I feel inside. I'm just a winner. So with that said, Laura, you're going to be the judge today. I'm going to be arguing against Alice. Laura, you're going to be judging not based on who's right, but who argued best.
All right, I can do it.
Cool, excellent. And Alice, I think we're gonna get going. So we've got someone whooping and clapping on the Twitch stream, just in text. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
So we're gonna get started. So Alice, I think we start with you. So what topic have you brought today?
Chris, I would like you to argue why it is a good thing, actually, that the comedy industry has basically ground to a screaming halt for the better part of a year.
All right. Okay.
Because I need to know that question has been keeping me awake early in the morning.
Okay. Ever since I started, and I assume it's the same in the Australian scene, and you guys have been on the UK scene a lot, so we've overlapped a lot. Every car journey to any gig, at some point, the conversation goes to, there's too many comedians and we need a cull. And nothing has been more successful in forcing people to quit comedy than a year without it. I personally know 3 comics that have quit, and I'm glad they're gone. Fuck them. I deleted them from my Facebook. I would name them, but I've forgotten their names.
I think people feel a lot safer in cars with to talk about this stuff than you do. I don't think anyone's ever suggested a cull to me.
Oh, really? I think maybe I may be just gig with more like bitter comedians than you do. Maybe that's the problem. There's a lot of talk of how good it used to be. There's a lot of talk of how you can't say anything anymore. There's a lot of my wife is a bitch. And then
and then the culling chat.
And then the culling, yeah.
The old culling chat. Maybe they think you're the type of guy to get it started.
Yeah.
Like, Chris bets he could start a cull.
I'm not saying I'd do a cull, but Chris bets I know you collect knives. Like that.
You seem like a cold-hearted bastard.
Knows a lot about eels.
Green rooms. Yeah. I think it's forced all of us to make sure that it's what we want to do. No one falls into comedy anymore. If you're doing Zoom shows across the ocean at 8 a.m, it's because you want to be there. I'm not paying either of you. You're here.
Yep. You're not here for the free drinks or the free chicks. You are.
None of that stuff. You're not going to get any hot ass out of this show, Laura. So I think that having to step away, you know what they say? They say, if you love something, sacrifice it to a global pandemic. And if it comes back, then it was always immune to begin with. Why do you think that we need the comedy scene?
Oh, I don't think we need the comedy scene. I fear regularly that I need the comedy scene for reasons that are less to do with my absolute love of words and the craft and more to do with some sort of desperate hole in my personality that I'm constantly shoveling coal into to try and fill. So, need is a strong word. I'm just trying to look on the bright side this year. I'm trying to look at the silver linings, and I was hoping that you'd be able to offer me some upsides to what feels very often like a terrible event.
Well, you can find a new coal, find a cleaner burning resource.
It's broken the cycle of addiction.
Yeah, you're free now. And also comedy is terrible because like coal, it sort of burns off and then it's gone. There's no storing it. It's just over. Whereas because I remember I used to do a lot of construction and demolition and things like that. And so at the end of those jobs, there's a thing and it's done, and you get a sense of accomplishment from that. And the thing that you finish this time is clearly better than the thing that you finished last time. Whereas comedy is so ephemeral. You know, you get the laugh, you finish, you got the high goes, and now you're just in a shitty room surrounded by largely annoying people. And so with a long trip home. So as a result, it's never going to fill the gap. It's a high and a low. It's very much a drug. Whereas now you could learn masonry and, you know, fill the gap forever. Just be
I reckon though you get into masonry and then like 10 years into masonry, someone's like, there's too many masons, we got to cull, we really need this mason cull. I think that's what happened to Jesus, isn't it?
So I have a family friend who, can I do an anecdote?
Please do.
Chris. So I have a family friend who is very religious and of a particular kind of religion, which is a form of Christianity that sort of valorizes shapes. The idea that sort of the triangle is divine, and they were all builders and engineers, and they got into it as a small
too many
cult.
Fisher Price toys.
Yeah.
No, they were not Freemasons. They were sort of on their own reconnaissance. They discovered this interpretation of the Bible, and they joined together, and they would go to each other's houses in this artistic community. And then they split down the middle. The congregation split down the middle because they couldn't decide whether to have all of the pews facing forward or whether to have them in a circle.
Wow.
And then they split down the middle again because they weren't sure if they should have pews or chairs. And then they split down the middle again for some other reason. And then there were only two of them left, and they decided to shake hands and go their own way.
I don't think being a stonemason means you have to join a cult. I don't think that's involved. Those guys were doing it.
Just
for
saying
the wrong
that
reason.
it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
It sounds like those stonemasons needed to join comedy just to get an idea of their own individuality, and they can push their own crazy ideas. You could ships in the night, you guys. You would have you could have taken their stonemason jobs. They could have taken
what
your
I
stage
could
time.
have done is taken a stonemason congregation and united them through comedy so that they wouldn't have fought about petty bullshit.
I think that's one thing that we're not seeing right now is the opportunity for comics who have built up a natural ability to convince strangers to believe things that they didn't believe beforehand. That I think that what we're missing is a huge growth in the cult community. I think we're going to see a lot of small farms, a lot of living off the grid, organic stuff. It's really environmentally friendly. It gives a lot of people a sense of belonging. That's another good thing that's come out of the fall of the comedy industry is a surplus in cult leaders, potential cult leaders.
Oh, yeah, I always thought I'd make a good cult leader in an apocalypse, but now that we see that apocalypses seem to be sort of spot treatments rather than widespread, what I have instead is a Patreon.
Yeah, start it now. You know, you're free to do as you are. You're free of comedy shackles. To start your own cult, and then you can perform to them every day of the week, and they're gonna think you're the best comic they've ever seen because you're, you know, sent from God. Who could be funnier than you?
I feel like cult leadership is it is an overly male-dominated sport, so perhaps we can. Laura, you up for it?
Yeah, sure. Let's get some land.
There you go. There you go.
I think I want to start from scratch. I don't want like a fixer upper.
No, you don't want to move into a cult and be like, oh, actually, I'm no, you don't want to be a reborn version of someone else because that's too much research. You want to be like fresh, straight out of the top of the brain.
They can always show up and be like, it's my cult again, and then they, you know,
all that resurrection. You never know.
Yeah, no, you gotta start fresh.
You have to inspect a lot of babies, I think, as well. I think if you're going with a reborn cult,
it's your cult. You do what you want.
Quite a lot of procreating required.
A lot, which is more pressurized on the womb having end of that interaction.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, but that goes the same
cult.
Yeah, and that's the same outside of cults. Not hashtag not all cults. Hashtag not all procreators, you know.
You heard it here first, audience. Hashtag not all cults. Spread the word. But yeah, so anyway, just to sum up why it's good that comedy's gone is you're a better person now. You're up earlier in the morning. I guarantee that. I guarantee you weren't up at this hour before. You have a new passion, which is stonemasonry and cultology, which is in your family already. So it feels like it's a natural move. I mean, this is a win.
All right.
All right, Laura, what are you saying?
I'm convinced that I have to stop doing this podcast because I quit comedy.
Yeah.
You convinced me. It's over. Goodbye. You're right. You're not paying me anything. I'd be much healthier without this.
I'd be
It's
much
good.
healthier
Most of the
without
reasons.
this. That's on the crest of stand-up comedy.
Yeah, great convincing. I mean, this is more of a public service announcement more than a podcast now.
That's one of the things that they do to maintain, the bushland in Australia is they'll do controlled burns or cold burns. The Indigenous people have been doing them for tens of thousands of years. Because if you don't do that, you get terrible bushfires, but it's also an opportunity for regrowth.
There you go. And the new ones are always more beautiful and more robust than the old ones. I think it's going to be great. I miss it every single day of my life. All the time, every day. I get pre-gig anxiety anyways, but as a result of only doing this once a week, instead of getting to like sparse it out 5 to 10 times a week, I just get really fucking tense before this show. So I had a great little walk around my block before this started dry heaving. We're all having a great time. Long live comedy. Never had that before building something. All right. So we'll move on to the speed round now. Laura, I think you have a bunch of random words right there. Excellent. Thank you very much. Josh, can you please put 2 minutes up on the clock? What a pro. Now, Alice, do you want to be for or against whatever Laura's about to say?
I'll be for. Why not? I'm looking for the positives.
Nice. So this is just rapid fire. Just get a thought out. We'll get as many in as we can in 2 minutes. So Alice, you're ready. Laura, you're ready. Josh is ready. Start the clock. Speed round.
Firefighters.
They're good. They save koalas. Love them.
Koalas have chlamydia, which injures the bestiality community who have been nothing but nice to me. Next.
Mussels.
Mussels, love them. Hold your skin away from your bones.
Mussels are also named after a mollusk, so how good can they really be? Next.
Orthodoxes. Orthodoxy.
Orthodoxy. Good to keep everyone in line. And how else would you know what hat to wear every day, the same hat?
Orthodoxy is bad because every, whether it's like Greek Orthodox or Jewish Orthodox or Russian Orthodox, they always have to dress like it's in the 1800s. And so just from a heat rash point of view, I'm against it.
Romance.
Cold in the 1800s. Romance. Love it. Sweep me away on a unicorn covered in rose petals and fling me onto a pair of sheets that are made out of something expensive. Wow.
Romance is brutal. Trick me, then put a big rubber fist in me, then don't learn my name. Bye, romance.
Conflict.
Difficult but valuable skill to learn. The core arc of my trilogy, a thing that I struggle with on a daily basis, probably good for me.
I hate conflict so much that I'm going to agree with you on this one.
That's a real trump. Seasons.
That's good. Remind you that life is a rapid 4-way split of a year that heads to the next year constantly towards death.
If it was any good, there'd be more every year. We would demand more seasons. That's the end of the speed round. I ran out of time. Laura, I forgot to ask you beforehand, but any chance you were marking down scores on that?
No, I was just getting an overall sense for who was struggling. Cool. And I think it was you, Chris. I think Alice did a better job arguing for, even when the topics were difficult to argue for. And even when the topics were quite easy to argue against, you still sort of were drowning on some of them, I think.
God damn it. So let's say normally we give out like one for each. So that was probably like 5 topics. So it's probably 5-1 to Alice right now because I got the first round.
Yeah.
Damn it. All right. Wow. That's a well-used speed round, Alice. No one's ever just completely blanked me before. It was very impressive. All right.
So we changed the time. This is like, it's my long-term strategy was to like disrupt you slightly by changing the regular time of this show. So you're already flailing. And then
that did work.
1-2 punch.
At the 7:30 time, I got the normal sort of like gig adrenaline, and then it's phased off now. It's very cagey, very cagey. A continuance, lawyer speak. So we're going to go into the regrets round now. Alice, do you have anything that you regret or anything that you're proud of? Because both are fine. I'll tell you that a regret is the best thing you've ever done, or that something you're proud of is actually garbage, and fuck you.
That's good, because I do that myself all the time. I have many regrets, but I'll tell you a thing that I'm proud of because that's rarer and more delightful. I have 9 episodes left of my daily satirical news podcast set in an alternate dimension. At the beginning of the year, I was facing down 366 episodes, which means I have, in a year where I've not done any comedy really, I have written a lot of comedy, and I've done it like every day, and I feel proud of myself for that. Now tell me why I shouldn't take this rare moment of pride that I feel in my own achievement in a life of constantly questioning what I'm doing and whether it's good enough. Tell me why I should put that in the bin.
Okay, step out of the game for a second. I want you to know before you do
It's
this,
nice to have you scream that at someone else.
I love and respect you, Alice. Now back into the game. You doing that podcast is the biggest argument against canceling the comedy for a year, because how dare you make that every day? You could have been out doing gigs and not wasting people's podcast time. Is there not enough news in this dimension? You got to spin off. The fact that you couldn't face up to the real world news and had to create your own magical news is A, cowardly, and B, narcissistic. I mean, all I see is shame here. There's a lot going on, Alice. You're a smart lady. There's a lot of good that you could have done, and instead you spun these fanciful disc worlds.
Wait, will you stop when she's crying?
It's always good for me. I've got to take criticism, man. I've got to learn to take my licks.
Do you want
Otherwise,
to
I'll never
yourself?
be able to read a YouTube comment section.
Yeah. Never do. It's not worth it. You can defend yourself if you want.
I mean,
Or did all that ring true?
It all rang so true, Chris Betts. You've defeated me on every front, other than the fact that I think the only way to deal with this year's news cycle and the reality of reality has been to create a delusional world entirely of your own making. And I cite as evidence QAnon and cancel culture and everyone online living in their own little made-up bubbles of events that no one else other than the people who they're talking to are talking about.
But statistically, they're the most likely to die from COVID. So really, it's the worst way to get through this pandemic. If anything, it's the easiest way to put yourself right in the face of it, is to create these fanciful worlds. So what if your imaginary worlds have contributed to COVID deaths?
That's a valid point. And I will have a look at my listenership numbers and see if they've been steadily going down.
Yeah. All right. I think I've proven this wrong, but Laura, it's up to you. What do you got?
Well, look, maybe in support of delusional realities, I'm going to say that Alice won that one.
Oh, what? Outrageous.
This is your salt, Chris Betts.
Just to create yet another, segment of false information out on the internet. Alice won that round.
Chris, you need to get the judge and the player to be enemies rather than like best friends. Also, as women best friends,
you don't know me.
Of affection. Our affection isn't expressed by being horrible to each other all the time, which sort of the fragile masculinity of modern male friendship seems to require.
You're really missing out. I don't know if you've ever been woken up in the middle of the night by being punched in the face, but they they care. They care.
Okay.
All right, we still have some time. If do you want to give me one of your regrets, or Laura, if
I'm
you've
so
got a
full
regret?
of I'm so full of regrets. Can I just please get one of I regret leaving my home. I regret leaving my family. I regret leaving my friends. I've spent a year standing out in a country where I don't know hardly anyone, in the woods, eating beans from a tin. Surely this is what it looks like when it all goes wrong, Chris. Surely. People keep telling me it's okay. Like, you're in the safest place in the world. I'm like, I know different smells of dirt.
Boredom is often associated with safety, so it's a trade-off of one or the other. England isn't boring right now, but it is unsafe. I would say that your family's in Australia, right? Or are they in the UK? No, they're in Australia.
Australia.
In Australia. Well, I think I can speak for Alice as well when I say Australian people are garbage and you're better off without them. That's why you both moved to the UK.
That's a very nice ambiguous use of the phrase, I can speak for Alice as well.
You both left for a reason. You know that it's right, and I understand that you have to see them on a regular basis, but blink twice. I think that you're in a very nice place, and it'll make you appreciate London more. I think London makes people very callous, and you start to take it for granted, and all you start to see is the grime, and you stop seeing the beauty of it. And so smelling dirt will retune your nose to the smell of urine on a Sunday morning in the street that you missed from Brixton. You're going to be like, a bouquet, hair. So there's that.
Someone took a multivitamin.
Yeah,
I mean,
good for them.
You don't just stop seeing the beauty, you stop seeing the bones. Laura, you had a thing with the bones, didn't you?
Yeah, it's the joke that I tried to do when I first got to London. I tried to do a joke about how London was covered in bones. And I was like, it's covered in bones. Like, I'm walking around Crouch End, I'm like slipping on shins. Like, what are all these bones? City's covered in bones, and nobody responded at all. Just silence everywhere I went. Just like, we don't know what you're talking about. What are you doing? Is this a bit like she could? And I lived there for 2 years. No, I don't see the bones either.
No.
No.
Did you mean chicken bones?
I know they're there. No, femurs, huge fucking femurs.
She is 100% correct. Like on a
tibia, fibia,
like
vertebrae,
pork knuckles. I think it must be a dog thing, but they're like, really, there are bones in. Like, she's not lying.
No, I have never heard this.
Covered in bones. It's rattling with ribs, Chris.
Okay, so clearly London had driven you insane. So it's good that you went out to the woods. I mean, what better place to come to terms with bones than the woods? I feel like that's
soon it'll just be my bones.
You can see them in their natural habitat, so you'll be a little bit calmer when you see them out in the city now.
I've seen no bones in the woods.
No
Brixton,
bones in the woods.
Crouch End, covered in bones.
Yeah, family's overrated. Do you get along with your family really well?
Sort of, I guess, yeah.
No, you're repressing something. That's never been true about anyone.
True. All
yeah?
right.
Okay, good.
Repressed.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So this way you can.
Repressed.
Yeah. Note for later.
Note for later. You're full of repression.
Yeah. So family, you don't have to see them. That's always good news. Australia's stupid. We covered that. Full of jerks. There's no comedy scene really to speak of in New Zealand. There's a few clubs, but not enough to sort of hold up the gigging that you're used to. So you don't feel like you're missing out. Whereas in London,
I do not.
All I do is I see people gigging irresponsibly every day. And part of me is like, idiots, stop that. And the other part of me is like, I really, really want to do that. And I'm so jealous.
Does it feel like crossing a picket line?
Yeah, but like a moral one.
Yeah.
Which
Have
I
you
guess
tried
all picket
yelling
lines are moral
scab
picket lines.
at them?
But, no, maybe I'll start just tweeting that in or
Scab.
subtweeting people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to live with that. You're free out there. You know that you don't want to be a farmer now because even though you're clearly made for it because you've got your dirt, smell, olfactory sense building up, it's not for you. So that's another thing you can cross off your list of possible lives. I feel like you're getting a really unique, special experience. Plus,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. No, I do feel marginally better. I think you definitely win.
Oh, great. Nice.
On that one. Yeah, cool. All right. See you later, cunts. I'm never coming back. I belong to the woods now. I'm taking my beans. I know where I buried them. I'm ready.
Beans, not bones. Hashtag that.
That's my t-shirt.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, we have time for one more regret, Alice, if you've got anything.
I think that all of my regrets are tangled up with all of my other regrets. So I have a big, inextricable ball of regret that is constantly trailing me around like a set of necklaces.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Wondered what I'd been tripping over.
Thought it was more bones.
Yeah. I regret things I haven't said. I regret things I have said. I regret things I haven't done. I regret things I have done. I regret things that I don't have the courage to do. You know, I'm just a big old ball of regret.
All right, well, let's solve that then. That's the regret, is how much regret you feel. Laura, you don't strike me as a particularly regretful person. You feel like someone who walks with confidence with a cape through the world and just sort of leaves destruction behind her. Is that about right?
Aha, my disguise is complete. No, I'm mostly just a void like everyone else.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I just thought, give it a shot. I see you in a cape so naturally that it just made sense to me.
Thank you.
All right, well then, regrets I'm not a huge regret person. Not that I haven't done a lot of things to regret, but I choose to see them as lessons. And because I didn't learn anything in school, I look at it as free adult education, which should be mandatory in all countries. So really what you're doing by living with all these sort of regrets and changing, do you change your actions as a result of them, or do you just continue and carry the bag?
I have such a wide and deep experience with regret that I now know when I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret. So I have pre-regret or pre-gret.
Wow.
Before I perform an action.
And then you do it anyway?
Well, often it's a matter of the lesser of two evils, isn't it?
Oh, well, then what are you regretting if the other thing is the evil? Are all of your things trolley problems? Is that how?
Yes, in that I drive a trolley as a job, and I'm very bad at telling people to get out of the way of the trolley.
If anything, you're encouraging them. Come on, guys.
Encouraging people on by planting beautiful flowers along the tracks. Well, often there is no choice is ultimately good. Everything is problematic one way or another.
So why regret it? I feel like we're imperfect beings. We're basically monkeys that know we're monkeys. So why would you put this godlike necessity to be good on yourself? I
mean, do you really want to know, Chris?
I mean, if it comes from the kind of confidence that it insinuates, then I'm just impressed. I look at life the way that I look at sports. I'm a big basketball fan, and a great three-point shooter hits 40% of their shots. That's a great three-point shooter. If I can make 40% the right choice, and the other 60% doesn't lose the game metaphorically, then I'm doing all right, because I'm a person and we suck.
So that's a very beautiful way to look at it. The way that I look at it is that if I don't regret, any of the choices that I make, or pre-regret or anticipate all of the outcomes and feel responsible for everything that's happening, then I have to face the reality that I am helpless before much of the suffering that is happening in the world, and that I am completely powerless to help the people around me who I love. So I feel like it's an either or option, and I choose the illusion that I have control, which means that I also have to constantly question and regret everything in an increasingly tight spiral of despair and fear.
All right, that sounds like a lot to live with. I unburdened myself. I think it was like that when I was younger, and now I just sort of spin in the void, like Ariel when all the fish are singing around her. I I
No,
think
that's
Well, I
the
want to
ocean.
be.
She's in the ocean.
yeah. But the
I want to
void
be where the
spins.
people are.
Fair enough. But so I would say that, I mean, that's a big one.
I'm like Ariel in the original Grimm, where she has to, like, when she walks on land, it feels like she's walking on knives. That's me.
That is a shame. Have you tried acid?
Podiatry.
Baraka.
I feel like a good dose of magic
Orthotics.
mushrooms would help a lot with this. No, I think that it's fair that you want to feel like you can affect the world around you. I think everyone likes and needs to feel that. And I think a lot of the worst and the best of people comes out in that. A lot of the times when someone does something terrible, it's because they want to, you know, make it known that they exist. You know, destruction or creation, those often come from the same impetus.
Or cling with your fingertips to the precarious illusion of free will.
Yeah, and I think that that's, you know, fine, but I think is there room for a dose of next time, maybe, you know, when you walk through it, to be like, I'll get them next time.
That is a very good suggestion, a very good point. This is turning into a therapy session, but
That's what the
also I don't
restaurant's
believe in the
for.
future.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
believe in the
wow.
future. That's
There's
part
only
of
the present. Okay.
There's only the present. So I sort of just think that everything's, you know, that you'll turn the page and the next one will be blank at all times. I'm never sure the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Oh, damn. I lived in a Buddhist monastery for a while, and one of the monks said something really beautiful to me, and I liked it a lot, and it's how I've lived ever since, where he said, there's no past, there's no future, there's only the immediate present. And the way to build a good future is to have good presents that sort of then grow up, and that also leaves a trail of a good past behind you. And so if you just think in terms of those, then it's good. But that necessitates the belief that there will be another moment, I guess, to a degree. I haven't thought about it very seriously in a while. I've been playing a lot of video games.
Yes, it's a Buddhist quote from one of the suttas, which is, the past and the future are broken plates, which I've always liked.
And the present
because it implies that the past and the future are full of apart. Yeah.
Just a mess.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Just say it's a mess.
Yeah.
Very
it's all just a
shardy.
mess. Yeah. All right. I think we'll have to call that there. Though I'm not convinced that we solved all your problems. And for that, I apologize.
Hey, it's not your responsibility, Chris.
I don't regret it, but I will learn from it. Laura, what are you saying?
That's a real tough one to judge. I think you both argued really well. I think if we go with the average demographic of our listenership, they are less likely to have mental breakdowns if they accept Chris's way of thinking than Alice's. So for just public safety, I think I'm going to go with Chris wins.
Hey!
Nobody panic. The sun will rise.
All right, I'll take that. The first optimism point ever awarded versus
just to be safe.
A point for hope.
Let's not drive anyone closer to that cliff. All right. So I think that makes it 5-3 for Alice right now. Or is it, did I win all 3 regrets? No, I think you won the first one. So it's 6-2. I'm keeping score. I got it all up here. 6-2. for Alice right now, but I can come back right now in the speed round. So we're gonna do speed round number 2.
And I'm scoring each one.
If you could, please. Yeah, sorry,
Okay,
I should
of
have
course.
mentioned that. I've been totally off
Sorry,
my
I
game.
thought it was an overall.
No, fair enough. That's
Overall
a totally fair assumption.
Marbo, it's the vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
all right.
it, you know, whatever. So this time, because you were for, this time you'll be against Alice. Everything that comes out, I'm going to be for.
No, I won't.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Good.
All right. So can we please get the clock up, Josh? Perfect. He was ready. He was just waiting for me to say it. This guy's a fucking pro. And Laura, you're all ready with the topics there?
Mm-hmm. I'm
Alice,
ready.
Alice, you're ready? Josh, start
Ready
the
as I'll
clock.
ever be.
Mars.
Oh, I don't like it. Too hot, too red, too many aliens.
I love Mars. It gives us a great hypothetical enemy for Earth to bond around. Next.
Continuity.
Continuity, needless, unnecessary. Attempting to put a framework of reality onto a framework of illusion onto reality.
I'm for it, and the proof of it is that even Alice's argument had continuity to it. That's how integral it is.
Mhm.
Next.
Music.
Music, don't like it. It's a distraction. It gets in your head, and a lot of it's bad. A lot of it bad.
I love music. It's before I figured out the way that I live right now, it was what I used to tune out all my regrets. Thanks, music. Next.
Houses.
Houses, unnecessary. Put us back in caves. Fight for precious resources. Live in trees.
Houses are great. If anyone tries to throw poop at me in my house, they'll just hit my wall. Too bad.
Spending money.
Not good. Capitalism is a cancer.
Cancer is a cancer. Capitalism is an idea. Money is just a tool like a hammer. Can't be blamed for anything. Next.
Money
Moles.
doesn't kill people. Moles are constantly making mountains.
I love mountains. I love a good scenic view from the Rockies. Thanks, moles.
Offices.
Offices, the worst place to do anything, especially work.
The very idea of an office is what made me work so hard at comedy so I could avoid it. So thank you, offices, for being
Hey,
so
you
terrible.
agree with me there.
Damn it. No. Yeah. All right.
All
That's the
right.
end of the speed round. Laura, what was the score?
That's 2 for Alice and 5 for Chris.
Oh shit. Yes. Don't call it a comeback. So what's the score total now? My math should be better than this. This is simple addition. It was what, 6-2, and that was 5-2. So 8-7 for Laura. All right. One ahead.
Alice.
Sorry. Again, you threw me
No,
off my rhythm
I'm
by pushing it
winning.
back by 2 hours. I'm all over the place.
You're always the winner, Laura.
Thank you. That's why I'm in the middle of this grid.
So now we're going to go to the judge's choice round. Speaking of Laura being the winner, Laura gets to decide who wins. Alice, you're ahead by 1 right now. Lucky for me, judge's choice round is worth 2 points. So we've got it all to play for.
Interesting.
Before Laura tells us what it is, people watching, neither of us know what Laura's about to say, so it's a complete surprise for both of us. Alice, do you want to be for or against whatever she's about to say?
I will be for. I
Nice.
feel I did better in the for round than I did in the against round, and I feel that I have an innate positivity that will serve me well.
Play to your strengths. That's very good. You won't regret that. So I'm against. Laura, what am I against?
Well, I found the why the comedy industry is shattered to be quite comforting. So I think since it's it's nearly the end of the year, I'd really love sort of a wrap up of I'd like you to argue, please, why 2020 is good.
Okay, so Alice, you're arguing that it's good. I'm arguing that it's terrible. So do you want to make opening arguments, or shall I?
You can make opening arguments.
Okay. 2020 is terrible. It's the Hitler of years, and I don't mean that in terms of death or intention. I mean that in terms of lazy comparisons. from now on, for the rest of our lives, everything that's bad is either going to be called 2020 or people are going to say it's not like it's 2020. And outside of all the needless deaths, that is what's going to linger for me. I'm going to be really annoyed. It's going to be lazy writing. You're going to see lazy MCs all the time at comedy shows. It's going to become like a pointless rallying cry for things. I am so, without any high points, this year has made it to be not only the most boring to live through, but it'll be the most boring to reminisce about. And it's going to have the most documentaries made about it. So if nothing else, it's a cultural crime that this year existed, on top of, lots of people died, and there was other stuff as well. Counterpoint.
So what I think has been good about 2020 is that it has accelerated and enhanced trends that were already happening. First of all, nobody died who wasn't eventually going to die anyway, right?
I guess technically true, yeah.
Technically true. Number two, it has enhanced community among people who've suddenly realized that they rely on their neighbors for their basic safety. Number three, new parents have had a lot more time with their children and been able to bond with their families. Number four, people who were in long-term relationships that really only functioned because they had a shared taste in Netflix, which they watched after work before spending the rest of their time apart, have now realized that those relationships were not working and have gone their separate ways. So it's accelerated divorces. It has also accelerated the split, the widening chasm between rich and poor, which will bring us back to a period in history, which is basically the dominant span of history, has worked this way. So we have to assume it's the way that people work, which is a ruling aristocratic class, a service class, and then a peasantry. And once we get back to that, I feel like that is the ultimate expression of human nature, and everyone will feel much more comfortable when they're groveling in the mud before their billionaire overlords.
Wow. Okay. Counterpoints to those, I would say, I can't remember them all in order, but I'll just say I trust my neighbors less now than I ever have before, because I've seen them with all their stupid friends coming around and having parties in the backyard. If anything, I think much less of everyone in my neighborhood than I ever have.
I said community, not neighborhood, but go ahead.
Oh, fair enough. All right, well, white people then, I think less of them. They've been terrible in general this year. It's really brought out the worst in whites. There's, I would say that in terms of the baby thing, a lot of parents have got to stay home because they lost their jobs. And so, yes, they will be very close when they're homeless, but that's not the kind of closeness that you want necessarily. Also, a lot of people who are having kids. I know people that are having kids that shouldn't have kids and wouldn't have had kids if it wasn't for the lockdown. There's going to be,
again, just trends that were already going to happen just being dialed up.
No, they were so careful before, but you hit that nihilism of a lockdown, and suddenly there's a future generation of you, and that's a real problem. I would say that the divorce rate going up, while being good, is because these things didn't get to end in a natural way, is going to increase the bitterness of people going out into the world, because it's like they left with such hatred that you can interject. You don't have to wait. This isn't like
no more wasted time. No more wasted time. They get straight on with it, get out, and they can blame the pandemic. That is, it's always good in the breakup of a family, particularly if you have children, to be able to blame an external influence, so that neither of you have to take responsibility for the flaws in your character that led to the breakup, and you can carry on your cycle of being a shitty person in a shitty relationship.
I think that gives people an easy out, and that their kids will take an easy out, and then climate disaster. Don't ask for the steps in between. It's a logical bunch of steps.
Well, speaking of climate disaster, there was a period of time where there were not many planes in the air, and that was good for the environment.
That gave us false hope, though, in the way that recycling does, where now we'll think like, oh, it dropped off by about 30%, and so we can probably chill out, in the way that recycling makes you feel like you're helping the earth, but actually most of it goes into the landfill. So they'll actually do less as a result than if it had been sped up through the constant travel that we're used to.
But everyone having more spare time to think about these things like the climate and injustices have led to some of the most impactful social movements in the last, let's say, 40 years.
I would say that there's been very little impact. There's been a lot of retweeting. A lot of the promises made have already been broken. We can't physically be there to make sure any of this goes through. There's all the defund the police stuff. That's mostly gone now. Most of the climate action, people are on their phones. They're too tired of being tired. And so I think that, again, that gives you the feel of like, I did something because I was mad about it. And so it's a false start. I think that this is a year of false starts. I'll actually set all those causes back by 30 years. Yeah.
I disagree entirely. I think that it has given people motivation, and the frustration of being at home has made them feel less satisfied with merely retweeting. And we've seen action in the streets. And when people are allowed to be in the streets again, there'll be even more action in the streets.
I feel like that's been taken most to heart, though, by fascists. I feel like most of the action now is fascist based. And a lot of those fascists wouldn't have had the time to become fascists if they were going to work and traveling, and they weren't just at home panic Googling things every day, looking for a little bit of respite, which fascism famously provides people willing to kill for them. So
better the fascist you know than a sneaky fascist. Better a fascist with the courage of their convictions than a cowardly fascist hiding behind you with a secret flag underneath their t-shirt.
Turns out there were a lot of those, according to tattoo artists. We found out later on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel we need to hold the tattoo artists partially responsible for this. They're not all stick and poke tattoos.
Yeah, you really gotta. How many Confederate flags can you put on a person before you start to be like, hey man, maybe see a therapist. Maybe there's another answer to this.
Do you just want a rose, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just a nice rose.
What about a heart with your mum's name in?
Yeah, mom. Whatever happened to mom? It's a nice tattoo.
Yeah, it's a nice tattoo.
All right. That was so like reminiscent and sweet. That's a nice tattoo.
A little sailor's anchor with like some lady who you really loved for about 6 months.
Yeah, and when people ask who she is, you have to lie because you don't really remember her anymore. It was 20 years ago.
Stare out to sea.
Yeah.
Look into the middle distance. Yes. Sandra.
Yeah. That was Sandra Oh. I met Sandra Oh, so I got it tattooed so I'd never forget. She's just super cool. All right, we'll call that there. Laura, for all the marbles, what are you saying?
Alice, I'm so sorry. That was an impossible thing to argue for. I think Chris definitely solidified that there was no comfort in that. I feel worse about 2020 than I did when I started. We're all doomed, but Chris wins.
Yes.
I feel that is a fair fight. I lost fairly, and
yes,
I will go
nobly
and regret it. Yeah,
noble.
Like you were. Yeah, like you're reeling in like a big marlin or something.
I thought that when you said better the fascists you know, I was like, the tide's turning here. I don't know what's going to come out now. This is great. Well, that was so fun. Thanks for playing. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Anyone
it was a delight.
Watching? I'm glad. Thank you. And so gracious in defeat.
Is anyone watching? Hello.
There are normally there's about
who's out there?
Normally there's about 100 to 200 people watching the show. So hopefully something comes of it. But they seem to enjoy it. I don't know. So if you can, anyone watching right now, give Laura and Alice a follow. Their social media contacts are in the comment section of whatever you're watching. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything that you're doing? We'll start with Laura because she's on the top of my screen.
Lovely. I've got a really nice digital album that I just released. It's my Edinburgh show that I did on the bus, same bus as yours, Chris, nice. Last year in Edinburgh, and I especially rejigged it to be a beautiful audio soundscape. My sound designer did like this lovely immersive sound design on it, so it does give you like a tour of the blunderbuss with all the sounds of Edinburgh, and yeah, it's really, really lovely. And you can get that for £5 on my website.
Amazing.
It's
What's it called?
It's called The Bus Show.
Oh, it's called The Bus Show. Great. Fantastic.
Well, the Edinburgh show was called Better Dead Than a Coward, and then my agents were like, I don't think you can call it that anymore because too many people are dying this year. So now it's The Bus Show.
You'll become the rallying cry for the anti-vax movement.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
yeah,
so.
yeah. Better dead than a coward sounds like the kind of thing that someone would say who was refusing to wear a mask.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
They'd have it written on a mask that they'd cut a mouth hole in, like that kind of
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Has
That's-
anyone thought, wait, sorry, just I have an idea for a business. Has
Mhm.
anyone thought about selling like really offensive face masks? Like deeply offensive, like
Oh, much
racial
better.
caricatures, like Confederate flags, like upsetting symbolism, so that the people who are not
prophets.
wearing masks in order to own the libs fucking cover up their aerosols for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and that's a nice
Just
way
saying.
because I like that for the reason of then just like you said, better the fascist you know.
Yeah.
Because then if someone's just gonna wear like a blackface character on their face mask, I can be like, oh fuck that
Yeah.
guy. That's good to
Oh
know.
yeah, they're asking to cut in front of you in the line to the photocopier.
Yeah.
That's a circumstance that happens a lot, and you just go, no.
Like
No.
instead of the red caps,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
some Trump masks.
Which, by the way, is super frustrating because I have a red hat, but it's for the Vancouver Royals, which is a sports
Yeah.
team, and I don't like wearing it anymore.
Can you put like some bling, like some Swarovskis or something on it, just to like dance it up a bit?
Then everyone will know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Corks,
Everyone be like,
Australian style corks to keep the flies away.
probably
Course,
it's probably
if
not a.
if I don't want people to think I'm racist, maybe associating myself with Australia isn't the best way
Yeah,
to
they'll be
go.
like, oh, that's one of those Australian Trump
Eh.
supporters, which exist for
Which
some reason.
exist, heartbreakingly.
Oh, we've got one of the guys on Twitch says he's already bought your album. He says it's a great album. So that's Baldy. It said shout out to
Oh,
Baldy.
thank you.
He said, woo, it's a great album. So that's good. You've got fans on.
Thank you.
Great.
Somebody, so there's some people in the chat have asked who won as well. I just discovered that. So just to be very, very clear for everybody, Chris has won. Chris has
Wow.
taken out the trophy on his own podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I'm going to celebrate.
And I
But
refuse to accept the results until there is a recount.
That's okay, Alice. You can go outside. He needs this.
Yeah, come on, that's all I have. I'm
Just
gonna
go to the
celebrate
shop.
with a Woodford Reserve rye. Woodford Reserve, official sponsor of the Chris Betts versus podcast, should they choose to be. Should they decide to send me money and agree with that. Alice, is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yes, I have a daily satirical news podcast set in an alternate dimension. It is called The Last Post. I also have my trilogy available as a podcast for free, Savage, the Resistance, and Empire, two of which, Savage and the Resistance, are available on Amazon Prime.
Nice. Excellent. And is your website the best place to buy those things, or?
The best place to go
access
at the
them, or-
moment is patreon.com/Alice Fraser, where you can get all of my stuff, most of my stuff for free. And then if you sign up, you can get more of my stuff for more free.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
haven't had the heart to
free.
Yeah.
Well, I have all these levels, right? And you're meant to get access to things at certain levels, but I haven't really had the heart to do any kind of paywalling since the beginning of the pandemic because it feels not fair.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Yeah.
come and pay me a small amount of money if you feel like it, or just have a look at the page and it'll give you links to all the stuff that is free.
Cool. And I personally vouch for both of your stand-ups. I think you're both hilarious. I love how funny you are. That's why I wanted to have you on here. You're both great to hang out with and hilarious comedians. I love it. I'd never call you. I wouldn't even try.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just nice to stay safely above that threshold.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching. We're going to have the post-show chat now. But enjoy. Thank you for watching the stream. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week, December 23rd. We're going to do a quick pre-Christmas show with John Hastings and Dylan Gott, two very old Canadian.
Oh, that's a
comedian
great
friends. That's going to be very
Great,
silly.
they're good boys.
We're going to talk a lot about wrestling, and they're going to mention cum so many times because it's just who they are.
But we mentioned come no time, so it's
No
really
time.
None.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Zero.
balance. That's how I try to book the shows.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. We'll be back next week. Subscribe to the podcast, Chris Betts Versus, if you want to check out the old episodes. We've got Jamali Maddox, Pierre Novelli, Gary Miller, Gahir Shah, Glenn Wool, a bunch of great comics, Laura Lex. So check that out. Thank you again for watching. You can subscribe to my Patreon if you want to support the show. If you're watching from Woodford Reserve, feel free to sponsor the show. You'd be very welcome. That's it. Thank you for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.